Good evening, good afternoon. This is Tom from Elevate Your Profits. Hey, I'm excited tonight for Mark and I what we'll be talking about tonight. But Elevate Your Profits, we're all about helping individuals that are maybe aspiring to be entrepreneurs, are entrepreneurs, have a small business. Our goal is always to bring new awareness, new knowledge, new ways of doing things, and sharing that with you. Tonight, we don't have a guest, but I do have my cohort right here, Mark Gassert, and we're going to be doing a presentation tonight, a little bit about what I do and what Mark is doing in that. So I'm going to bring in Mark. Good evening,
Oh,
Mark.
yes. How are we doing?
Man, I tell you, it's Monday. It is Monday. And that's a positive thing. It is Monday. So
it's a magnificent Monday, Tom, right? I feel like a telephone after today. 80 calls. That's insane. Oh, my God.
Mark, I admire what you do. You do what you do because you got a strong desire to win, and you bring great value to those that you're reaching out to. So, but tonight, let's talk a little bit about what we're going to be doing here. We're doing this for the first time, so we might be stumbling around a little bit with the slide presentation, but we'll get it all figured out. So, but I want to make sure everybody's at least knows who we are tonight. Elevate Your Profits. Mark, you want to make any comments?
Well, I just think what you're going to show here this evening is, and I revert back to a gentleman we had on last week, Ori Spado. Ori, if you're out there, hope you're watching. If not, that's okay. You can catch it on the replay, or even guys like Ben Gay that are out there. But this truly is what you're sharing, Tom, is for what I call the underdog, the common man. And this is an opportunity here. And even for people that are out there tearing it up financially, what you're going to share with us this evening. I implore you to keep an open mind. It's definitely something to look at, and it's something that I think we as adults sometimes have a childlike mentality in the sense from a financial perspective. We're not where we really should be because of the way our educational system is set up these days. Everybody thinks it's taboo to talk about that thing called money, and it's not. You need it to thrive and develop and take care of families and do other unique and neat things with it. So it's really a tool.
Mark, you made some good points there, and I think it's important to understand is, when you look at the wealth the American people have, the average person out there, the amount of money they make is staggering compared to what the rest of the world makes. And, the statistics are not flattering. They're not positive. We live in a culture where most people are financially illiterate. Now, finance is just not being aware or the knowledge. They don't teach the principles of how to win financially. Get a good job, go to school, get a good job, go to work, but they don't tell you anything after that, how to create wealth, no matter what source that you have. But tonight, what I want to do is just bring some awareness of 8 principles that have been taught to me over the last 30 years. I've been applying them in my life. And I've had my ups and downs like anybody else, but it's through this awareness and applying this knowledge, I've solved the problems in advance. And, we hit COVID this last year. And when we get to the end, I'll just share with you why I did what I did in the long-term strategies. Because when COVID hit, I took a hit, I took a blip, I had to step back a little bit, but I wasn't financially devastated. I was able to make a vertical dive deeper into some of the other things I was doing. So no matter where at your station in life, whether you work for somebody else or you're in business, you've got to understand these 8 principles I'm talking about. It will make you wealthy, understanding these principles, because one of them could devastate you financially. All eight of them, I guarantee, is going to devastate you financially. So tonight is really just to give you an awareness of the 8 silent wealth killing, what you call, Mark, the pillars, the things that we need to be aware of. And then we're going to just show a few options one of the things that I've been doing, and which you'll see if other successful people are using, is some of the strategies we'll be talking about at the end. So, Mark, any comments before we try to do this slide?
No, I'm looking forward to this. This will be quite interesting here. Two gentlemen of our technological caliber, out there in the stratosphere.
All I'm going to ask people is to have an open mind. It's okay to be skeptical, and skepticism is good because it causes you to ask questions. But if you're a cynic, it's time to leave. No time for cynics. So if you're cynical, this is not the presentation for you. I'll be straight up with you. But through awareness is the only way you make change in anything in life. So what I'm going to do tonight is see if I can bring this up here, Mark, to see if this works. Hey, we got it. I'm going to take down this banner. Be free to make any comments, ask any questions we're going through here tonight. We're just going to go through. I'm going to be doing a biggest majority of the dialogue on the slides. Mark, chime in anytime you want.
Oh, absolutely.
Comments. Okay. So here we go. If you're on a device, turn it landscape. That way you get a better view. And this is what we'll be talking tonight. 8 silent but deadly wealth killers. Knowing them and avoiding them is the key to financial freedom. Knowing them and avoiding them. These are the 8 principles that we're going to cover tonight. 1 is the wrong mindset, procrastination. Number 3, debt, taxes, inflation, high cost of healthcare, linear income, and no plan B. Where we cover those in a little bit more detail. Mark, can you see me? Or we?
Oh, you're looking great. I see you, and looking at the screen here. And
okay.
Tremendous.
What I'm going to ask is everybody to stay to the end. We got a special bonus, and I'll share that here at the end. So stay for the end. A little bit about myself. I'm not going to get in a lot of detail, but I've been in business for myself since 1983. I left the corporate world as a contract negotiator in the Teamsters Union in the grocery industry in California. I had a career path carved out for me by that organization, but after seeing what goes on behind the back doors, I decided that wasn't the avenue I wanted to go through in life. So I went out and went into business for myself in the financial services arena in 1983. And that's where I got my foundation. So a little bit about myself. My wife's an entrepreneur. Been in business. We have never had jobs in our 30-some years together. Never had a job, gainfully unemployed through business. But we run many different enterprises. I've had a lot of experience in the financial services industry, insurance, securities, mortgage, real estate. So I have a rounded knowledge of these areas, and I've applied them in my life. And my goal is help and teach other people how to win financially. So that's a little bit about myself. Mark, you can go ahead and talk about yourself.
Well, like I said, I work for an organization that helps train people in terms of their behavior, alter it, whether you're in sales, operations, customer service. And that's what I'm currently doing now. That's why I said I feel like a telephone. And prior to that, Tom, you mentioned something about Teamsters. Well, you and I have something in common because I was in the hospitality, the trade show industry, and we work with a lot of different organizations that were unionized. I won't mention some of the organizations, but whether it's they're carpenters or they're on the docks, the freight dock or whatever. So, I had an opportunity to do that. It was a great ride for close to 30 years, tremendous. And then, I had a little hiccup, back around 2008, 2009. It affected our industry tremendously. And, then I had to really put some hustle behind my muscle and do various things from selling lawn care, cutting grass, umpiring, officiating basketball, whatever the case may be through all that. And, lo and behold, I bounced around and did what I had to do to take care of my family. It wasn't fun. don't even like to think about that's almost like the dark side, the dubious side of the force. And then, here I am today. So I survived. It wasn't a pleasurable, how should I say, experience, but it taught me an awful lot. And what you were talking about, I met various people in the process who were successful and still are. And I remember things they told me, and some of the things that you have shared is looking for opportunities and looking for ways, not necessarily
Are you still with
to
me, Mark?
save money. There's nothing bad with. Yes.
Okay, yeah. You broke
Can
up
you hear
on me for a second there, my friend. I'm sorry.
And I was just going to say that, you talk about mindset. That's what this whole thing's about, what you're going to share with us. So that's pretty much it. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
Mark, the thing that I admire about you is that you're willing to do what it takes to win. May not be your ultimate goal, but you do what you need to do. I've done that myself. So winners don't quit. Winners find ways. And I would just want to compliment that for you, Mark.
Well, thank you. Thank you.
Part of Elevator Profits. So you come in with the right mindset, and we're going to make a big difference in a lot of people's lives. That's my goal. Well, what I like to always start out with is, we live in a culture of what I call naive. We look around, we live in a culture of illusion. People, have multiple cars, boats, multiple homes, whatever the case may be. And we think that everybody's doing fine financially. But I can say this with confidence, is that most American people are struggling financially like never before. When we look at the wealth of this country, only 3.5% of the American people have a net worth over $1 million. Think about that. Think about that. Only 3.5%. And 40% of Americans couldn't pay an unexpected $1,000 expense. The car breaks down. They haven't got the cash, so they end up using one of those things, or wealth killers, called debt to solve that problem. And then 63% of American people do not have $500 to cover an emergency.
Hey, can we go back to that, Tom? Now, you have to explain that to me. If you ask them to write a check or get the money out of their bank savings account, that's what you're saying there, right there, correct? That
they don't have it.
Wow.
Yeah, you'll see some other numbers here too. The amount of money the average person has in savings. Okay. And 64% of the American people are going to retire broke. Broke, my friend, totally dependent on a $900 to a $1,500 Social Security check, if that is still around. And 19% of the American people will have less than $10,000 to their name at retirement. Now, you can validate all this information. They are facts. The whole purpose is to start looking at yourself and where do I stack up in this situation? And the good news is there's going to be solutions to each one of these challenges that we have. Facts. Let's talk about total assets at age 65. You take the average American today is going to earn $2 million going to flow through their hands in a lifetime. And when you look at the average household in America, now the average is the average. It's okay. There's going to be some that have a whole lot and then some have none. But the average retirement funds is $60,000. Now, how long would $60,000 last you if your income standard of living was $60,000? Can you expect to retire on 1/3 of $60,000 on Social Security? I don't think not. Okay. A lot of people are making some drastic decisions going into retirement with debt. big time debt. And that's one of the things we'll be talking about here in a moment. Kind of amazing, Mark, when we think about it, we have a couple $3 million going to go through our hands in a lifetime. Where does it go, right? We're going to show you where it goes.
Kind of reminds me when Ori last week said he burned a hole in his pocket when he always had cash, you know. Now he's doing a lot better, but he was making those big dollars on the dark side of the force. He said he couldn't keep it in his wallet.
You might be saying to yourself, not me. That's not going to happen to me. Well, I can say this with confidence. You're wrong. The facts say otherwise. And if you're not prepared to deal things in good times and bad times, the facts will catch up with you. These 8 elements we're talking about are critical to understand to win financially. A lot of people think I got to go make more money, then I'll be fine. But if you don't change some things about your relationship with money, and don't solve these problems we're going to cover here, you've got to understand these 8 principles. I'm going to have you read this, Mark. I know you're a big Warren Buffett guy too, so we'll talk about this a little bit.
I got to look at it a little bit closer here, Tom, excuse me. By the way, thank you, Ron Goodwin. I will acknowledge you for the nice comment. He said, your story is still being written. So thank you for that, sir. And don't forget, you're on next week, my friend. Let me see if I can, see if
Can you read that, Mark? I can
yeah,
make it a little bit bigger, or I could just go ahead and cover that.
I'm getting it. It says, rule number 1, never lose money. And then rule number 2, never forget rule number 1. And man, who likes losing money? I detest that. You know, I think everybody does. Or see if people would go work for free, Tom. That's pretty much what you're saying there. I mean, or even if you had your own business. Yeah, I'm just going to have a business and there's a money tree out there. It doesn't work that way. So
no, the biggest problem with Americans today is even if they don't have a business, they should be running their business the same way that you're looking to make a profit. You don't want to be losing money. Well, losing money, it could be, a lot of people will say I made an investment and it went upside down. That's losing money. But you can lose money in some of the strategies we have here. So you should be looking at your own personal finances, the way of business, and evaluate where your money goes and what's eating your money up. And then make those strategic adjustments so that you don't lose money. So understanding these 8 principles, if you don't solve them, you're losing money. You're losing money. I didn't go to work to lose money. I didn't go into business to lose money. I didn't invest my discretionary income to lose money. I've taken strategies to win with money, and that's hopefully we can help you understand these principles tonight. Here's rule number 1. I've been in the financial service arena since 1983. And yeah, I understand the power of compounding interest and all the principles and getting out of debt, staying out of debts, and 401s and investment strategies, you name it, I've been down that road. But there are people in this world that are making lots of money, are failing financially. And it has to deal with their relationship with money, their mindset. And I love what Warren Buffett, we look at Warren Buffett as a great genius and investor, yes. But I'm talking about his genius of common principles to win by. Don't lose money. Don't forget rule number 1. Number 2, I heard him say this at a college, what they call a commencement speech. Mm-hmm. The best investment, he told these college grads, you can make is an investment in yourself. The more you learn, the more you'll earn. Now, he didn't reference go get another degree. He was referencing study other successful people, how they think, get coaching, get mentoring, make investment. See, college is great, but college doesn't make you wealthy. It gets you a good job, gives you some knowledge, but they don't teach you how to become wealthy in college. So Warren Buffett, make the mindset, the right mindset. You got to win in anything in life. You got to change your paradigm. You got to change your mindset. It could be if you want to lose weight and become healthier, you got to change your mindset of what healthy is to you. And you got to change the belief systems that keeps you from becoming more healthy. Same thing with money. You got to change. What is your relationship with money? What were you taught about money? My story, and Mark, we all have stories of how we're influenced and how we view money. Would you agree?
Sure. Oh, absolutely.
Based on our parents.
Yep.
Yeah, my parents grew up in the Depression era, and they grew up with a mentality of lack.
Mm-hmm.
And so I absorbed that as a child, and that was sort of my thinking. But I also had some awareness I didn't want to live like my parents either. But that was an underrooting cause of how I was thinking. See, if we're going to change anything in our life, we want to become healthier, we got to change. We can't keep doing the same thinking to get a different result. If you want to win financially, you got to start thinking differently. You have to look at how successful people think about money and earning money. And guess what? It's different than most people are taught. Would you agree, Mark?
Oh, absolutely it is.
If you grew up in the Rothschilds or the Rockefellers or the Kennedys, they're a lot of people say, well, yeah, they got the silver spoon, but no, their whole relationship with money is each one of those individuals could take everything away from it, and in 90 days they'd have it all back again. I mean, that's the type of mindset they have. Okay, so why can't you get the same mindset? And I love what Einstein says. We cannot solve our problems with the same thinking we used when we created them. See, where you are today financially or any place else in your life is accumulation of your thinking of the past at a subconscious level. The actions you've taken and how you made those decisions is based on thinking at a subconscious level. That's what I teach. To win with money, it's not just knowledge. I got a ton of books right here, and people in the audience probably got a ton of books on how to win financially, but their bank account doesn't show it. Why isn't that happening? What would you say, Mark?
It's pretty simple. It's their mindset. They're not, reading a book's one thing, implementing it's another. And, you got to be disciplined to do it. I just think discipline is a key. I know people hate the D word, but you really do. And I always think of my brother-in-law. I look at ways to make money. Most people look at ways to save money. And you touched on it when people come from that Depression era, the greatest generation, not making fun of them, but a lot of people came from nothing. And some did well and others, did okay, but it got passed on to us. We're the offspring of that generation. So,
It really comes down just evaluate your thinking and relationship. And that's where sometimes coaching comes into effect to help you get clarity on how to accomplish your financial objectives. Let's go to the next one here. Procrastination, number 2 killer. We all think we got enough time, right, Mark? I can get to it tomorrow.
Oh boy. Yeah.
Did you say that 30 years ago?
Well, I'll do it tomorrow. Oh yeah. It's just, I think, I'm guilty as accused of the crime. I think we all are. We put things off.
Yeah, but we've really got to understand what procrastination is really costing us in our strategy of creating wealth, the time value of money. All our intentions are to get to it, but life sometimes happens, or too much fun is happening, and we don't put off delayed gratification. Gratification. Thanks for helping me there, Mark.
That's all right. That's okay.
So let's take a look at 2 brothers, twins. Graduate from high school. One had a little bit of awareness about money and didn't want to be broke, and did some study and research and started really as obsessed with winning with money at a young age. His parents maybe had some influence on him, but at age 19, he gets his job and he puts $2,000 away into a qualified plan, an IRA. And he does that for 8 years. That's $16,000 he invested. Now let's take a look at his twin brother. His twin brother says, I'm going to go out and have some fun. I got my job. I'm going to travel. I'm going to party. I'm going to do whatever. And then I'll get to it. Well, he wakes up at age 27 and he starts putting $2,000 away because he recognized I need to start saving some money. But he's going to have to invest $2,000 every year to age 65. And now this is taking an assumption of the normal American economy's average rate of return. These numbers will change based on that, but this is statistically what happened with the rate of return in the market. Well, let's take a look. Ben invested $16,000. He has $2.2 million. Never made another contribution. Wouldn't that be nice to teach your kids that they do that for 8-10 years? And guess what? That's a pretty big number. But take a look what Ben did, $1.5 million. Still a pretty good hunk of money, but he had to invest $76,000 over that same period, a $756,000 difference. And I'm going to show you the cost of waiting in the next slide. So that's starting out young. If you're young out there, pay attention to this. If you've got children, make sure they understand this concept. And I'll be glad to talk about the magic of compound interest, as Einstein's the eighth wonder of the world, is understanding the magic of compound interest. Is that kind of amazing, Mark?
Oh, it is.
Yeah. Procrastination. Real numbers.
That'll kill you in just about anything, putting things off.
This is probably more reality that we can relate to. Is, let's say you want to have at least $1 million by retirement. Okay. Well, at age 20, you're going to have to put $319 a month away at a very conservative interest rate. We're not talking market rates, something very conservative. $319. Well, when you're young, you say, I got nothing but time. I'm going to have some fun. Then wait 5 years. That same goal is going to take $440 a month. And at age 30, maybe we finished our school up. We're starting a family. And, we got those obligations. Mark, can you relate to this?
Yes, very much so.
Come in the picture. You're getting married, you got in a house, all those toys, all the things it needs to have that. Now we have to save $613. When we look at the discretionary income left over in the average family's budget, there isn't that type of money available. And then we wait 5 more years. Man, we are in full swing. Would you call this, Mark? Bases are loaded. All the kids are on base. Umpire.
It's full count, man.
Yeah, that's going to take $864.
Yeah, that's a full count, 2 outs, and you got a 3-2 count at the plate. Yeah.
And then we say, I'm going to get to it in 5 years later. Look what it takes at age 40, $1,240. Wait another 5 years, 45. This is where most people start getting serious about maybe I should be planning for my future. My kids are off, they're out of school, or they're wrapping up. I've made that investment. I'm good with that. But guess what? You're going to have to save $1,831 a month to have $1 million. It's probably the discretionary income is probably not there because you may have carried a lot of debt going forward as well. And at age 50, $2,831. The cost of procrastination is a life you could have lived. Why wait? Put something away on a regular basis. You're going to be a whole lot better off in the long term. That's a real story. This is where most people start their retirement planning, if they even do anything, or they see the numbers for a time. They say, heck with it. I guess I'll just continue having fun. I'll deal with it when it comes. And that's not a pretty picture down the road. Any comment there, Mark?
Yeah, one of the things too that you're talking about, and I know if you're like me, when I first saw this, you kind of beat yourself up, but if you are on pace and trying to do the right things, one of the things, and I know you'll mention this, Tom, is some people put themselves behind the eight ball by buying big ticket items like play toys. Like, if you can afford it, great. Motor homes to a second home to whatever. And, and that's cool if you got the dough to do that. But some people like really overextend, and that can really hurt you too. I mean,
yeah, and it's priorities and that lifestyle that you want to have, but ultimately the decision you make is going to affect the end result. So there's a price to pay for winning, and there's a price to pay for losing, or making the wrong decisions, not having the right priorities. I always like to share this story with my wife's family. My wife's mother and father raised 6 children here in the Midwest, here in Oconomowoc, Wisconsin. He never made more than $50,000 a year, and that was at the latter probably 5 to 10 years. He was a liquor salesman, and he never made more than $50,000. He traveled the world. He paid cash. He never used credit, and he retired a multi-millionaire. Why is it when somebody's making $50,000 can retire a millionaire? Somebody making $250,000 a year retires broke. It's not the amount of money you make. It's your priorities and how you manage that. And he didn't understand these principles, but he had some common sense. It didn't make sense. You don't buy anything you can't afford in cash. So we're going to cover the cost of debt here in a moment. So procrastination is a killer financially. Debt. This is the biggest problem we have. We can look at it ourselves personally as well as our government. Debt. The average family in America today has more debt. I heard this statistic just the other day. So some of these numbers change, but 80% of the people out there that have credit cards are maxing out their credit limits monthly. They have 5 to 6 credit cards, and they max them out. 80% of the people who have credit cards are maxing out their limits. They pay one down a little bit, and then they cycle that back. It's crazy what they do. I've seen it all in my financial coach. So let's talk about average debt. Mortgages, personal loans, credit cards, and more. 2020, the average was $145,000. With the medium, what medium means is half the people had more and half the people had less, but the average is $145,000 in debt. Well, if you got a big shovel, that may not be a big problem. But if you never diminish those numbers, you're going to have a big problem down the road. Student debt. Mark, you got you put 2 kids through. You got one in college, one just
one's soon to finish up. Yes.
Firsthand the cost of education, right?
Yeah, it's not cheap. Particularly when you go to a private school. Yeah, it's not.
Yeah.
And they don't care about your story, Tom. They just care that you pay them.
If you're a parent out there, you should really look at these numbers, because many families and parents are mortgaging their financial future away for their children's education. And I'm not downplaying that at all, but there's a consequence if you don't do it right. So let's take a look. 69% of college students took out student loans. Here's another staggering statistic, not even in here. 60% of the dollars that they get in student loans are not even applied to their education, books, where their housing, or anything. Guess what this money's applied to? Spring break. That's a fact. They take the money and go play with it and then go back to hey, we ran out of money. Let's get another loan. That's a staggering one, right? Yeah, I think you should know what your kids are doing.
Wow.
With the money, right?
Thank goodness I didn't have that problem.
The average student debt is $29,000 or $30,000. Actually, it's higher than that. Parents, 14% took out Parent Plus loans. Here's a staggering statistic. Student loans, you can't bankrupt them. Can't bankrupt them. You own it. Your kids own it. Their kids are going to own it. You can't bankrupt them. So it has a legacy impact as well. Here's another staggering statistic. Of all the kids that go to college, get into college, take out those student loans, 40% drop out of college. So they're going to college expecting to get a degree, to get a bigger shovel in life, and they never get their degree. Money wasted. Money can't be leveraged. That degree can no longer be leveraged because they didn't get it.
Right.
So there's more. Yeah, it's pretty staggering, huh, Mark?
Yeah, it is.
And there's $1.7 trillion in, I've got to do this again here, Mark. Did I lose you?
No, I'm right here.
Okay.
You're at the welcome. It says welcome right now.
Okay, I got to get back here. I hit the wrong
okay.
buttons on my screen here.
That's
so,
okay.
Student loans, a big problem in America today. There we go. It out exceeds credit card debts. And here's another staggering debts. Most Americans have 1,000 to 5,000 in savings. 1/3 of those have less than 1,000. And here's the real story. When you look at the average median income, the average family monthly expenses, house, rent, groceries, insurances, all the cost it takes to live on is $5,102. So there's not a lot of discretionary of people living at their maximum level. So debt is a big problem. Any comment there, Mark?
That's how America is looking right now, man. They're down for the count, man. But there is hope.
Yep.
There is hope.
You got it. So what about this statistic?
You know, that one there, since I've come into the world, it never seems to go down. You know, it always seems to go up. That T word called taxes, you know, but yet I hear all these politicians tell me how they're going to cut taxes. Tom, have you ever seen anybody actually do that? I mean,
no, Mark, once they get it, they keep it, you know, yeah. So they very seldom ever stop it. But this is a recent statistics. You know, I'm not into the politics of this conversation, but elections do have consequences. So the new tax laws that our administration wants to put on, they talk about taxing big business. Well, guess what? Big business is going to pass that tax all the way down to the consumer. And small businesses are going to be taxed even heavier. So if you're in business for yourself, it's important you understand your tax strategies. Utilize the tax codes to your benefit. Because if you don't, you're going to lose. Uncle Sam is going to get his. I have no problem paying taxes. I paid a lot of taxes in my life, my friends, a lot. But I've also saved a lot of taxes because I've leveraged the understanding the tax laws to my benefit. And we encourage anybody out there to have a business so you can leverage the tax laws for your benefit. So taxes, a big problem. If you think they're going to go down, I hear this all the time with taxes. Well, I don't want to make any more money because I'm going to have to pay more taxes. Because that is a great problem to have.
Yeah.
I'd rather pay more taxes. That means I'm making more money. I'm going to have more money in my pocket somewhere along the line. It's a lack mentality. So, hey, the more I make, I know I'm going to pay more taxes, but bottom line, my bank account gets bigger. My investment portfolio gets bigger because I have more dollars and more opportunities than ever before. And government can help you out quite a bit. Let's see if I can get the next slide up here, Mark. Can you see that, Mark? I'm sort of out of sorts here with this slide presentation. There we go. I don't know what I did, but I'm going to stay in this mode.
Yeah, there you go.
There you go. Can we see it now?
Yep.
Yep. Uncle Sam, you're going to have to hand it over. Going to have to hand it over. Here's something I just mentioned. You know, why not have not a hobby, but a business? Find something you love doing that you get enjoyment from, that you can make a difference in somebody's life, whether it be a craft or whether it be a product or a service, that you can make some money on the side. Supplement, maybe pay down some bills, get your home paid off early. But here's the great thing. The tax laws aren't designed for anybody that has a wage. So things that you're spending money on right now, if you have a business, a legitimate business, it's not a hobby, your cell phone becomes either all deductible or partially deductible. Part of your home rent, part of your utilities, part of your mileage, part of your car payment, part of your health care. We can go get a good CPA because everybody's going to have different situations. Guess what? Just having a small time business, it's an average of $5,000 a year less in taxes you have to pay. Mark, what would you do with an extra $5,000 that didn't go to the government? What would you do with it?
I would probably figure out ways to make more of that money that you gave me. I would do something with it and have it work for me. I wouldn't go out and buy something. That's for sure.
That's money. That's that loss. Uncle Sam just held a gun at your head and took your money. That's a loss because you didn't understand the value of being in business and the tax law. Only 5% of the tax code is about the taxes. 95% of it is how to avoid taxes. Your son's a CPA, and he can probably equate that. It's all the ways to get around the taxes, right?
Work within the law, yes. Correct.
I'm not saying legally. I'm not saying avoidance of taxes. That's a different story. We may get shut down on YouTube or something.
We didn't say that. We didn't say that, Facebook.
But it's important to understand where can you take advantage of reducing your taxes.
Right.
Inflation. When I made this slide deck, inflation has gotten even worse. In 2020, the inflation rate was 4.2%. In April this last year was 9 points, over double digit now. You say no, inflation doesn't happening. Have you put any gas in your gas tank lately? Mark, what's the price of gas there in Georgia?
What, like $2.99, on an average, and then higher depending on where you go. And Ron says, I'm hearing a lot of doom and gloom about average American. They aren't listening to this, And
well, Ron, we hope one person listens. Then we've made a difference, right?
I understand what you're saying there, Ron. I do. And you know what? They aren't listening to it. You're right. I mean, but then in the same breath, I hear what people don't have or want more of, and they're looking for some help. So I got two schools of thought there. So,
yeah. So let's talk about inflation. This one's important to understand. All these principles, in times of good times, they have less impact because we're not affected by as much. But when things get tough, like we're going through right now, these elements start compounding effect, inflation. It's eroding your purchasing power in a very significant way. So if you have a $50,000 a year income and your boss is giving you a 2% pay raise and inflation is 10%, you run behind by what? 8%. Do you think your boss is going to give you an 8% pay raise? I don't think so. He's probably going to take your 2% away because he's affected by these same principles. So where is that extra money going to come from? You've got to solve inflation. Yeah, there's different ways to do it, cut your cost and so on and so forth. That's part of the strategy. But you've got to increase your income to outpace inflation, just like investment return. If your investment return doesn't outpace inflation, you're losing money financially. You don't have the same purchase power. Same principle here. How can I make more money to offset inflation? You know, groceries. My wife went and bought some chicken the other day. It like doubled since the last time she bought chicken. Car prices, gasoline. What did I hear? My sister lives in California. In Northern California, the gas is $4.86 a gallon.
Wow.
Now that's a lot of things behind it, a lot of taxes in those gas prices as well. But just think about that. That's the cost. That's inflation. This one right here, principle number 6, cost of healthcare. You know, whether you work for somebody, your employer's providing benefits, you co-pay on that, those costs keep rising to a point where a lot of families can't even afford it. And there's different ways. I won't get into the solution specific tonight, but the cost of healthcare is killing businesses and families financially like never before. If you have a business and you have employees, you provide benefits, your healthcare costs are the second highest cost in your line item next to wages. And they say that's going to exceed that here in the very near term. So what are you doing about your healthcare? If you don't have insurance, you're just one incident away from bankruptcy, losing everything that you've worked your tail off. A broken leg, you step off the curb, break your ankle, you're in the hospital for 3 days. You know what that bill is going to be? A couple $100,000, little surgery. What are you doing to offset that liability? Got to have insurance, just like you got to have car insurance, homeowners insurance. But guess what? People can't afford this benefit. And there are solutions to it, which I get into it in a whole different program. Mark, any comments there? I know your wife works in the public sector as a teacher. They get pretty good benefits, right?
Yeah, pretty good. As long as she keeps working, you know, it's not bad. But the cost of healthcare is another one that's not going down. It's going up. My sister works as a healthcare professional, so yeah, I mean it's. We're all getting older too. So you got health issues. There's a lot of things you can factor in, that's why health is a commodity, man. If you got it, that's a great thing.
Yeah.
And Tom, I do agree with you. We do live in the greatest country and it's sad to see people hurting out there financially in the richest country in the stratosphere of the planet. That's hard for me to sometimes understand how there are homeless and people don't have food, and we could get into a bunch of things.
There's a lot of social issues. That's not the issue here. It's just the fact that there are social issues, and we need to take responsibility as a society to take care of them. But the average person is creating these problems themselves. So let's talk about this number here, Mark. Is the average family of 4 is paying an average of $1,437 a month. That's $17,000 annually. And that's for the right to have a $10,000 deductible and a 70/30 copay. So you're going to have to put on another $10,027 before they pick up any of the bills. Interesting concept, huh?
Yes.
There are solutions to this. And it's not your government. That solution is not going to work. Here's the 7th principle that hurts you is linear income. Mark, what is linear income in your terminology, the way you understand it?
When it stops, when the person stops, working. So, I mean, if I don't go out and, sell programs or whatever you do for a living, graphics industry, whatever it is, if you don't have customers and you're not selling something to create and solve someone may have a situation or a problem that you can help them, that's beautiful, then you get paid for that. But if you're not doing it, the money ceases to come in. Every day you step up there, you got to be productive. If you're not, it's over.
Yeah. Linear income is known as paycheck to paycheck, sale to
Right.
sale, hour for wages. You stop showing up, so does the money, right? So you stop producing in business. So when we talk about the average American today, we've been taught to get a good job. 59% of Americans are a paycheck away from being homeless. And according to a survey by Charles Schwab, that goes back to not having enough reserves and not a good plan. They squandered their money. They didn't have priorities. A lot of reasons why this is happening. So linear income. Even businesses should not be just strictly linear in their income. What can they do in their business that's going to get into some of the concepts we're talking about coming up? Warren Buffett, here's my man. If you don't find a way to make money while you sleep, you'll work until you die. Now, a lot of people go to the conventional thinking, I'm going to save and invest. I'm going to get investment income. Yeah, that's part of the strategy. That's part of many ways to do it. But most people don't have the time to accumulate the amount of assets to give the income and provide income while you sleep. I'm glad I listened to my advisors years ago. Okay. Not to oppress you, but oppress upon you that there are solutions out there if you apply them. So I had no intention to work my entire life, even though I'm still working. People say, well, aren't you going to retire, Tom? I'm doing what I love, and that's the key. Can you see this, Mark?
Yep. What's the residual income? What is it? Why do you want it?
Because I work for it once and it comes every month.
Right.
I make that investment once and it keeps delivering every month. That's a residual income. The rich focus on a completely different way of earning money. The rich focus on different ways to earn money. If you've ever read the book called The Millionaire Next Door or done any research on millionaires, you'll find that the average millionaire has 5 sources of incomes, minimum of 5. Interesting statistic. Mark, what would you say? Maybe I should have more than one?
Oh, absolutely. You have to. And William there, yeah, share that. Jim Rohn.
Yeah. Thanks, Cody, for jumping on.
Cody.
Yeah, good man. There's a guy that understands using real estate as one of those vehicles to accumulate wealth. Just one of many.
Right.
But it could be linear too. It could be also destroyed by taxation, inflation, and some of the other problems we talked about. So you got to solve those other problems as well. This one here, Mark.
Yeah. There is no B plan. Yeah.
You know, that's one of the things that I think is important to understand here is what's your plan B? You know, if you talk to any major business leader, I belong to an advisory committee with some very significant business people in the Milwaukee area, and most business succeeding, they're planning for worst case scenarios. They have a plan in place. They're making strategic decisions on a monthly, weekly, annually basis to offset these problems. They're strategically planning and working not to be affected by them. What's your plan B? How many people were, Mark, we know this, how many people were affected with COVID, lost their jobs,
Yeah.
couldn't go back to work,
Absolutely.
devastated. Who do they rely on at that point?
Yeah.
Who do they rely on? And I was affected by COVID, my wife and I, and I'll cover that here in a moment, in a very significant way. But I had plan Bs in place. All I had to do is a vertical shift. My businesses that I have all could be shifted and I could move instantaneously as markets changed or as the conditions change around me. I built businesses that are inflation proof. Okay. Inflation proof. So we've identified the problems. What we're trying to do is solve this. We want to get the tree full of fruit, right? But we really got to, before we even to harvest, we've got to get to the root problems, build that plan in and around solving these 8 principles around winning with money. And here's what I was talking about. If I had $1 million today earning 5%, that's 50,000. Is that going to be enough? What we've got to understand, taking those 8 principles, the paradigms, your thinking, if your thinking is not open to new ideas, you have linear income, you're putting things off, you have debt, you're not doing anything to offset your taxes, you're not doing anything to offset inflation, and if you're not doing anything about your health care and saving money there, planning for that, you have a problem, and no plan B is a big problem. This is where most people are today. One or all those elements are in play right now. The more of them you have, the bigger problems that you have. But guess what? There's solutions to each one of these. Hopefully it'll get you to start assessing yourself a little bit differently. Consider this. First of all, to get the success you're looking for in anything in life, whether it be monetarily, health, relationship, you got to change the mindset. The thinking that got you to where you're at won't take you to new destination. It will not take you there. That's Albert Einstein. So we got problems. We can identify their solutions. And then once you execute and put them into play, you're going to start seeing the success that you envisioned. I'm going to go through this pretty quick here. See, we talk about financial assets. What is a financial asset? A financial asset, traditionally, we've been looking at our banks and our mutual funds, our real estate, our institutional pension plans. All those are assets. But there's one asset, and an asset gives you future benefit. It's going to grow. It's going to give you income. It's going to provide something. It's going to make you money. That's an asset. But there's one asset that most people overlook, except for people like Warren Buffett and some other people. And that missing asset is residual income. And a lot of people say, well, Tom, I haven't got time to get $1 million. Well, I can show you in the next year or two to have income stream coming off a business that is equivalent to having $1.2 million in a bank. And it's an asset that could be sold. Interesting. Doesn't take lots of money. It could be rental income, be interest income. It could be the residual income coming off of different businesses that can be put into place. And I focus in on residual income businesses. I've done way too many one and dones in my life and then have to go do it, get another one, and then be done again. So I learned a long time ago, how can I create residual income? Passive income is money earned from an enterprise that has little to no ongoing effort involved. Once you've done the work on the front end, it's done and it continues to pay you. As long as your product and or service continues to bring value, that person is not going to drop your program. They'll stay in that program. Pertinent thing to look at. Building an asset, a residual income continues to pay you after all the work has been done. I have no problem working. Do you, Mark?
Nope.
What you did
Sure
today,
don't.
will you get paid again for it tomorrow?
Yeah,
You
I don't
gotta have
know.
more than one source. One thing in the apple cart can get overturned. It could change everything. So you got to be prepared and look at options. Let's take a look. This one here, Mark, is kind of interesting. Would you agree? what we've been taught, earned income versus residual income. On the left-hand side, taught by our schools, our society,
Right.
paycheck, hours for, high tax returns. There's no tax benefits working for somebody else. You're just working for money. Guess what? There's no billionaires ever created by somebody gets a paycheck alone. So if you think you're going to become a billionaire, it ain't going to happen. Okay? They have linear income, requires labor. You have to get up every morning, do the same thing over and over again. This is where the middle class is. This is where the poor stays and resigns. It's a majority mindset. Well, everybody else is doing it. This is the way I should be doing it. I'm contrary to that. It's a rat race. Do you find yourself doing the same thing, hating it, getting up on Monday, saying, oh my gosh, it's Monday. Wednesday, it's hump day. I can't wait until Friday. That's a sign of dissatisfaction. If you're in that state in life, find something new to do. Find something that blows your hair back, gives you some passion, some purpose, whether it's part-time before. So you get up in the morning with a purpose in life. But let's take a look. We talked about, Mark, most people don't have the extra money to put away over a long period of time to accumulate $1 million, right? They just say,
correct.
I give up, right?
Yeah, that's correct.
Well, let's take a look at it. If I could show you how to make $2,000 a month over the next 2 months, that's equivalent to having $480,000 in a bank account or investment paying you 5%. Now, you don't have $480,000, but you have an asset that's paying $2,000 a month, equivalent to $480,000 asset. Guess what? If you have that in your business, it is sellable. It is sellable. Well, what about $3,000? That's equivalent to having $720,000 sitting in a 5% investment account. If you want to make $5,000 a month, that's equivalent to $1.2 million. All these things can be done in 2 to 5 years, if not less. This is how you create $1 million asset, is through residual income strategies. And there's many, many, many of them. I'll have you read this, Mark.
If you don't find a way to make money while you sleep, you will work until you die. That's by the man himself. Yep.
Well, like I started out the presentation night, it's okay to be skeptical. It's okay, but what if? What if there was a solution? What if I don't, what if I don't make a change? What is the outcome? What if? You got to get those questions answered. We know there's problems. There's keys to the problem. And the answers are not just from Tom Ginn and Mark Gassert. They're out there. There's a lot of people who have solutions, have been doing this. Why the rich are rich. The rich are rich not because they look rich, but rather because they possess the skills and the strategies of the rich. My father-in-law didn't understand the strategies, but on a incompetent, what do you call unconscious competent, he was exercising the principles of the rich. Okay? The rich invest their money first into assets. Hear that? The word assets. And there's a whole range of assets. We talk, all the traditional, make some investments in products and or services that give you residual income. Make that investment. The rich maximize their income by increasing either their salary. They just can trading an asset that can pay them more. And they profit from the business, create a profitable business. And point number 4, the rich build multiple income streams to diversify their income. And there's so many of them. Everybody's going to have a different way that they want to look at it. Some going to require assets and money to do that. Most people don't have it. So we want to focus on the things anybody can do. What's happening in America today? People are uncertain about their job opportunities. Would you agree, Mark?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
There's insecurity. More and more people recognize maybe COVID was a disruptor, but it was also a blessing. And recognize maybe we should be home. Maybe I can do a business from home. Maybe I can save that $2,000 a month and make half as much money and still be better off because I don't have to pay childcare and all that type of stuff. Be at home, put more value in higher priorities called family. So a lot of people are looking for opportunities. And then you can leverage that as well. I'm going to have you read this, Mark, then I'll comment on it.
I'm reading Ron's comment. Your father-in-law grew up during the Depression. Don't spend what you don't have. Save for a rainy day. That's cool. I like that. That's true, though. I mean,
but you know what, Ron? When he wanted to go to Europe, he went to Europe because he could pay cash for it.
Yeah.
He didn't sacrifice. He was prudent.
Right.
There's a difference.
Well, that's how
he didn't go in debt.
Yeah. And that's how this gentleman here, Mr. Ron Goodwin, runs his business, man. You know?
Yeah.
That's why he's successful. Don't start a business. Find a problem. Solve a problem. The business comes second.
And that sort of goes, if you're going to look at something, there's so many opportunities out there. And some are better than others, of course. You got to do some research. You got to make a decision based on economics. And you got to make a lot of decisions what your values are, what you enjoy doing. I believe find something you enjoy, you love. You'll get up every morning and you're willing to do the hard work necessary to accomplish your goals and vision. So you just don't go into business because it could potentially make you a lot of money. That alone can cause you a lot of heartache and misery. There's a lot of people sold a bill of goods out there. Join us and we'll make you rich. Guess what? There's no such thing as get quick rich. Everything takes some effort. Would you agree, Mark?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
So if you're looking and want to increase your income, want to solve these problems, diversify your income, it's about what I do. I share opportunities. I've been applying these. This is, and Mark's involved in some of the stuff I've got up here. Can you see this, Mark?
Oh, yeah.
This is my LLC corporation. These are all the elements that are in our LLC, the Aduco Group. Now, I believe if you're going to be in business, either products or services I use, I find they're good for me. I always refer it out, say you should be taking a look at it. So any business services I use, I let other business people know about them because I see the benefit. And guess what? If they subscribe to it, I get paid. Guess what ends up happening? I drive down my operating costs because after 2 to 3 people using it, my services are free. Kind of an interesting concept. Would you agree, Mark?
Oh, yes.
So StreamYard, that's what we're doing tonight. Guess what? Somebody wants to learn how to stream or wants to use this platform, I can give them my link, and if they sign up, I get paid monthly. That's residual income. Now, it's not my primary focus in business, but it's a source of income. If I wanted to lean into it, I can lean into it. I have an avenue. On the left side here, Mailbox Power. It's some of the things I use in my marketing. Some of those involved in Ken Wall's program have been familiar with Mailbox Power. I use it in my business. I recommend it.
I'm not laughing at you. Ron has a great comment. Yeah. You know what, Ron? And you know, you are going to be on next week to interject this, so you can show us your master chefery, if there is such a word, as you're grilling, because we may up it at 5 and watch how the Goodwin family is cranking up the grill. But I would love to get paid to watch TV and critique the shows. Any chance I can get someone to pay? Man, you know what? I'm there with you. Ron Goodwin, if you can find out who's doing that, I think we're all in on that deal.
I've got a solution for Ron. It's Luke Aberley. If he really, he wants to be a product evaluator, get a hold of Luke Aberley.
Yeah.
He gets paid to evaluate products. Okay.
Yeah.
Great kid.
Yeah. No, we will have fun, Ron, for sure.
So the reason I'm going to go through this here is I got many different sources. I use Hippo Video in my marketing. I recommend to other businesses that they use it. Hey, I get paid. It's not my main source. I use my data, my CRM system. I use a program called Pipedrive. I find it very good for me. Anybody's looking for inexpensive, high-powered CRM, I refer to them. If they subscribe to it, I get paid. My business costs are coming down, okay? I'm also in the cost reduction. I'm a financial coach. I'm associated with the company, and Mark as well, and Team National Impact Health and Schooley Mitchell, our consortium team. These are businesses that have been created to help people reduce cost. From cell bills, your central services, your utilities, no matter where you're at, like Warren Buffett, you can cut your cost, you're not losing money. And guess what? All these businesses are residual income. I do the work on the front end, demonstrate we can save them money. They continue using a service every month. And as long as that company provides a higher valued product or service, they're not going to drop it. Okay, so that's part of what I do. In our association, Mark's part of our consortium team, a group of consultants and people dedicated to help businesses solve some big problems, cutting costs. One of my other businesses is called Life Empowered Institute. My wife and I are both certified coaches. I'm certified with John Maxwell, Thinking Results, Dave Ramsey, and I have programs and courses and affiliate programs that I sell on that. So this is another source. Now, when COVID hit, some of these took a pretty big hit because they were uncertainty. People were uncertain. Some of my programs are of significant cost to enroll in one of my programs. So I took a hit, but I didn't die because of it. I switched. And then my wife, we have a wellness center, Four Rivers Center for Wellbeing, Holistic Health. We have doctors, we have acupuncturists, we have nutritionists, massage. We also have product in there, residual income product. We got another health-related product called Acia. And my wife is a consultant, teacher, has a continuing education business. So in any of these economic conditions, we've been able to make pivots and changes with little disruption. Wasn't easy, but it would have been different if I didn't have these things in place. COVID is testing us. Would you agree, Mark?
Oh, big time. Yes.
And this is what I offered in the beginning. Hey, if you want my book, I'm going to be re-editing it and republishing it. It's called How Debt Impacts Your Wealth Building Strategy. Just one of those principles. I wrote that about 6 years ago. I'm re-editing it. It'll go out to publication. So if you want a copy of that, get it out to your friends. The myths about debt. It is death, financially, debt. But free to message me, say, send me a book and I'll get it to you in an e-form. Okay. Thanks for being here. I always ask this question. I'm a salesperson too. So solving problems. That's what I've been doing since 1983, helping people improve their lives financially and other areas. Yeah, Mark's making some good points here.
Ron is, what's your average annual income from affiliate relationships? And then he's got another one down here. I love these questions, man.
Sure.
They're cool. Good
questions. It's like anything else in the world. If you don't apply yourself, you don't make any money. That's the key. You got a good product and service. I believe in this principle, Ron, and anybody out there, listen. If a company has a product and service I use and I believe in it and I can sell it and make money with it, that's an opportunity. If I can leverage and build a team with it, that's a whole different story and and that's where most people go wrong with network marketing is they're focused on helping people try to build a business, don't have any desire to build a business. I focus on product first, and then the business building comes if that person elects to go there. Totally different strategy. So I always point this as a salesperson when asking somebody to do business. Mark, I'm proposing this to you, Mark. You've seen what I presented today.
Mm-hmm.
Do you see any value there for you and your business, or anything you want to apply in your life?
Oh, yes. And let me say this may not be for everyone,
No.
and Ron brought up a great point that the average American, and I guess that's where it all comes down to. And I'm not knocking the word average, but, I don't want to be just average. I want to take things up another level and another notch. And that's just me personally. So,
Yeah.
and it's all about choices that you make. So,
yeah, I always ask people when I present or to think about whether what we're doing, and if you want to investigate anything that we're talking about specifically, we'd be glad to talk to you about. That doesn't mean it's the end all to all. There are so many other things out there you need to do. And all that. But here's what are the consequences, Mark, of doing nothing?
Everything
that information.
Yeah, everything that you've showed here is going to happen to you. You're going to be wind up. What I'm going to say is you're going to become a statistic for most. I'm not saying everybody, but yes, you will become a statistic. I'd bank on that one. And, now there are some people that are doing great, and God bless you. That's tremendous.
And I say keep doing it as long as you love it. That's my philosophy in life, as long as you love what you do. And so the consequences of doing nothing, just being aware and not taking action, investigating and seeing where you're at, and start looking at opportunities, because poor ultimately leads is this definition: passing over opportunities repeatedly. And it goes back to the statement I said, skepticism is okay. It causes you to ask questions. It's only through questions can you increase your awareness. When you have increased awareness, can you figure out ways to solve the problems that you're seeking to solve? But if you're cynical, nothing happens being cynical. There's opportunities for everybody. And I just encourage people to evaluate where they're at. What do they really want in life? And seek something that blows your hair back. I love that. That's because I got some hair. Mark doesn't have a whole lot. So
I'm losing it, man.
But anyway, Mark, I just wanted to, say thanks for, this was our first go around on this presentation.
Right.
It's going to be going up in an evergreen webinar platform. We're going to be talking more and more about, finding out more about what we do. If you're so inclined, it's only through that process of inquiry. And so if you want to have any conversation with me, you can go to my Linktree Educo group. My calendar's in there. You want to have a conversation with Mark around any of this, his calendar link is right there. You can schedule time with him as well.
Reagan said, trust but verify. I love this. I love Ron, man. He's bringing everything. By the way, this good-looking gentleman that's making all these comments, and that's why I like Ron. He will challenge you and make you think. He will be our guest next week, and I'm really looking forward to talking with Ron about what he's doing in his business and where he started from and how he got where he's at today. I'm really looking forward to this, Ron, because I think people need to know, as a business person, what you've gone through. And, you have a great family. They supported you all the way. Most important of all, the most intelligent member of the Goodwin family, other than your wife, is Ruby. So, I think Ruby's smarter than you, your dog. I'm kidding, but that's a talking dog that Ron has. But I'm really looking forward to hearing your story. And well, when I say that, you bring a lot of value, and you can share a lot of different things, and you've seen different things out there. And what Ron's talking about and what I'm talking about is not pie in the sky and, just give me your money, I'll see you later. That's not what we're about at all. I think you guys know us. And where I'm coming from is to help that common person. There are a lot of people out there struggling, And I don't like seeing that. So that's why I got involved in this.
Wonderful. Thanks. Ron, we really look forward to talking with you. I appreciate all your comments. You bring good, valid thoughts people should consider in anything that's presented them. It's only when you ask questions can you get clarity and get awareness so you can make decisions that are right for you versus being sold something, which too many times that happens. But anyway, Mark, I appreciate what we did tonight. So
yeah, it was a lot of fun. You know, Ruby's wagging her tail. That's cool. Hey, I want to know,
Ruby.
I know what we're going to have next week I think that would be kind of cool to say, hey, here I am, guys. And, you know, we can get you on the grill, or you can show us what you've been working on Labor Day wise. And, you know, probably be salivating watching all the Goodwin cuisine, because we get to see it a lot on Facebook.
Yeah. Well, Mark, I think I'm complete. Anything else you want?
Oh no, it was great, and I appreciate you sharing it. I learned something new every time I partake of what you offer here, sir. So I am just a humble servant out there, just trying to do good.
Thank you. Your heart's in the right place. Your motivation's the right place. There's nothing but good things ahead of you, Mark. Seriously, as a friend.
Thank you.
So with that all said, let's sign it out, man. I got to pick up my wife. So
I hear you. I've got to go to a dance class with my wife. So there you go, guys.
Man, thanks, Ron. Thank you, Ron, for being here.
Thanks, Ron.
All right, we're signing out.